LMS change is our final. We have 5 points that we have to discuss and then defend. Before I get into those 5 points, I work at a small district. I think that's important to note. I work between grades 4 through 12, three different school buildings. I chose the middle school because that's my home school on paper. That's where I go to get my PD, and that's where I feel probably, if I had to choose one of the grade levels to teach at, that's kind of where I would want to teach, is 6 through 8. Just by, I love what I do, don't get me wrong, but if I got a chance to pick one school to stay at, it would be the middle school. So, first, a list of partners to help implement the new technology transition. So I chose 3 people. The chief information officer for our district, she handles everything. She handles our PD. If there's any tech problems, she's a wonderful resource to have. And then her 2 peons, if you will, the technology coordinator and the network administrator. I think if you're going to roll out a new LMS, those people have to be on board. You have to have the people who do the majority of the work for the district in technology raring to go. I have great working relationships with all 3 people, and the last time they rolled out anything new was Infinite Campus. They started that whenever I was in high school. So, and all 3 of those people were in that position last time. So I think if we theoretically, or hypothetically, I should say, rolled out a new LMS, why not have those same people on board? They have done this before. They're ready to go. Development and training. So I would do a PD in person 4 hours. 4 hours seems like a lot. At least give up to 4 hours, I should say. But the first PD would be at the end of the school year. We have 2 days built in they're called closing days, but they're PD days also. It's a jump start on the new year. And during those 2 days, we would have this 3 to 4 hour PD, this introduction to the LMS, what's the same and what's the different. I think if you're going to implement anything new, you have to get people excited. I can't tell you how many times we get used to something and they go, oh, and now we're going to change it. And it's just, why? Why did we need to do that? Why did we need to change it? And that's what that PD would help answer. This is the new product. This is what we're doing. Here's what's the same, though, so it doesn't freak you out. Like, hey, you put the grades in the same, or hey, you do this the same. Here's a little bit of difference. And again, if you're going to introduce something, you want everyone to be A, on the same page, and B, excited about it. I think we roll out early access. We begin that at the end of May. They can kind of, do what they will with it in the summer. We can set up our own fake classrooms for it. And just go ahead and start getting some of the kinks worked out. Pilot users. So I'm going to the next 3, pilot users, assessment and feedback, and anticipated timeline, I'm going to kind of condense all 3 of those into the same answer. And let me explain. So pilot users, small district means I have a lot of teachers who are dual teachers. So we would actually do this by department. So math, we have 2 math teachers who cover foreign language, and we also have a English teacher who covers the foreign language. So the first rollout, the first pilot users would be the math, English, and then because of that, also the foreign language department. So you're kind of covering 3 departments. It's a little bit roundabout way to do that. But thankfully, and this kind of jumps over to assessment and feedback, we have weekly staff meetings, and we actually do attend them every Wednesday. And then we have the end of the month staff meeting. So even if even if the staff meeting happening on a Wednesday doesn't correlate to anything you do, that's okay. But at the end of the month, we have that staff meeting / department meetings. So that's a great chance to kind of go ahead and start sharing that feedback in the first rollout. The first rollout would begin right at the start of the school year, right in September. Boom, here we go. Math, foreign language, English. And again, they would be providing feedback to us as we went along. And that would last for at least the first semester. So September to December, only math, foreign language, and English. It gives us a chance to kind of see the differences and the pros and the cons of each. Roll forward into January. January, the science, social studies, and rotations pick up into this. Now, I separated this into 2 rollouts because I think the math and English department, even though there's a lot of teachers in there, I had to put those 2 together because of the foreign language. And then also, between that, science, social studies, and rotations, so that's your music, that's your tech, that's your library science, those health, PE, art, there's more of us actually in science, social studies, and the rotations. So I had to implement all of us in the second rollout in January. So, first rollout, beginning of the year, we kind of start to get rid of some of those kinks and things that are a problem. Second rollout, everybody's on the new system. We're trying it. We're pros and conning it, and we're comparing things. Now, I think a timeline needs to be at least 2 years. 2 years to really implement and give it a chance. On the second full year, everybody's on it now. Everyone has been on it for at least a year, at least not. At least a semester, I should say. And then on those Wednesday weekly meetings, or the end of the month department meeting, however we want to do it, probably the end of the month department meeting would be the easiest. We start assessing and feedback. We do that immediately with the first rollout, but we do that during their department meeting, so that way we're not interrupting PD or anything else that we may need to be discussing as the entire school staff. So maybe that last Wednesday when we have department meetings, we dip into the math, English departments, go, hey, how's it going? Do you like it? What's different? What do you need help with? And we can really help start checking those boxes of, this is what we should have looked for, this was a problem, this went really well, and we'll be more prepared for the second rollout. The assessment and feedback, we're big on Google Docs, so that's an easy one. Send that out an email, do every 2 weeks, if you need to. Or have them share at those weekly Wednesday meetings or at the end of the month meeting. The department meetings at the end of the month, whatever works best. And then, of course, if I have a question sent to me about the LMS, there comes that hierarchy again. The question is an overall general question. I don't know. I go to my chief information officer. Why is Electric Boogaloo, the new LMS, down? Well, she knows that information, but probably go to the network officer instead. Hey, what's going on? Either way, since I'm the point person, I'm the one who's taking all of that, all those questions in. But also with assessment, we have Google Docs, we have sharing at meetings. After the first year, we're going to have a reflection, and after the second year, we're going to come back to that reflection and see if we've hit everything that was a problem. We like this, we don't like that, we like this, we don't like that. End of year 1. Year 2, everyone's on it. We take a look again at the first year's reflection. Do you feel like this has changed? Do you feel like this has changed? Was this for the better? Was this for the worse? And I think that gives us a really good headspace of, okay, our LMS is set up. Our teachers feel confident on it. We know what we need to get done with it. We know what needs to be done with it. And just kind of, it's not so much of a burden that we're all trying to figure it out at the same time, but it is very much a slow introduction and pilot program. So I think 2 years is kind of that's our niche for a small school district. Honestly, you could probably get it done by the end of the first year, but I know I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. I would want time to really just dig in and make sure this is what I want. We use Infinite Campus right now. Infinite Campus is a fantastic LMS for us because it's where we put our grades in. It's where we take attendance. It's where we get a hold of our IEPs and 504 plans. It has important information, such as seeing our students' home phone numbers, how to get a hold of parents. We don't have to deal with the office with that. There's a lot going on for it, but I feel like if we switch to a different LMS, again, all that information and then plus more. I use Google Classroom because I can have my students submit a video of them playing so I can critique it, because there's so many of them. With 460 kids, it's impossible to get one-on-one time. My average classroom size is 81. Well, sorry, excuse me. My average classroom size is 58. My biggest one is 81. It's high school, 9th through 12th grade at once, first period. Me and 81 kids. So those videos are really important to me. I have to be able to do that. So if we have a new LMS that we move into that has that feature, hey, that's a win for me. Again, I feel like point person, chief information technology coordinator, network administrator, development. We do training for 4 hours in person at the end of the year. We re-up that. And I'm just now realizing I didn't speak on that. We re-up that PD, reintroduce it at the start of the year. Everyone has it in May. In September, the math, foreign language, and English, kind of, Venn diagram there. They go through something very similar in person, maybe 2 hours, and we start implementing that new LMS for them then. And everybody's got early access to it for the summer. And then, we hit January, everybody's onto it now, and hopefully that 6-month period gives us a little bit of a window of what we need to look at, what will make it a smoother transition for everyone. Just any kind of kinks, let's go and work them out. Our pilot users, I just spoke on that. Assessment and feedback, Google Docs, sharing in person, emails, reflections, being able to reflect from the end of a semester to the end of a year to the end of 2 years. And then we're looking at roughly 2 years. So, all right, thanks.